Welcome everybody. I'm Peggy with Sweet Tea Makery. So today we're going to learn how to make a few rag bows. And we're going to use our Deluxe Easy Bow Maker to create these awesome bows. So the first bow we're going to make is what I call a mini faux rag bow, because rag bows are typically made with fabric, but the bow that I like to make is one that we use with ribbon. And we're going to create that same look using wired ribbon. There are a few unwired, but majority of them are wired, and it's a 1.5 inch size. You can make these in multiple sizes, either a short tail like this one, or long tail, or a mixture of ribbon sizes. But for today's tutorial, we're just going to use the 1.5 inch ribbon. So I'm going to tilt you down and we're going to get started on making these awesome bows. So let's talk about some of the things that you need. You're going to need, of course, your Deluxe Easy Bow Maker. You're going to need 5 to 6 wired ribbons. For this tutorial I'm using a 1.5 inch, but you can use a 2.5 inch or a mixture of both. You can also use all solid. The design choice is yours. I chose to use 6 different patterns, but you can certainly use 3. I like to work in odd numbers, but you can also do just a solid bow using this particular technique. So we've got our bow maker. We'll of course need scissors and a few other tools, which are some zip ties and some either tinsel rope or pipe cleaners to tie, use as a tie off for the back of your bow, so you can attach it to whatever base that you choose, whether it's a wreath, mailbox swag, door hanger, lantern, whatever base that you choose to use. And I've picked up a few little embellishments as well, so that we can embellish the center of our bow. There are a number of different things you can use. You can actually use ornaments, florals, whatever you choose to use as your design. So the first bow, as I said, is what I consider a faux mini rag bow, because rag bows are typically made with fabrics and not with ribbon. So I tried this out, and again I made this awesome faux rag bow using ribbons, and I just adore it. And it's stiff, just like if you were making a fabric rag bow. But our second bow we'll be making and I picked a Halloween pattern, this because it's so close to fall. We'll be using actual fabric and using the same technique to create our second rag bow. So first you're going to need to cut 3 sets of each of your pattern ribbons at 20 inches long. Those are going to be the tails of your bow. And then you can cut 1 to 2 sets of 24 inch in length ribbons. Now for the sample bow that I made here, I only used 1 set, and we may do that again now, but if you want your bow to be even fuller, you can use a second set. And again, I'm using 6 different patterns, and I've cut those sets up and divided them equally. So I'm going to just shift these back so we have plenty of room to work with, and grab them as I need them. And I'll move some things out. So one of the things I like to do, this is an 11 inch zip tie. I like to place it on the bottom of my Easy Bow Maker, because that way I'm not struggling after all these ribbons get added and accidentally miss miss one of the ribbon sets, and then I have to start back over. So I always like to set this little zip tie here. That's a designer tip, easy tip to use. And we're going to start layering our ribbon tails. So what I do is I do my ribbon tails first. So again, these are the 20-inch in length. There'll be 3 sets, and we will just start adding them. So what I do is I measure and find the center so that it's equal on both sides, and I use that as my guide to slip it down into the bow maker. Sometimes you have to adjust it a little bit, but that's fine. And we'll just continue through our pattern and folding and finding that center. Now this is a pattern it has on one side, so we just need to think about that as we go. So as we slip it down in there, that we're facing the pattern up. This is another one that we found that I just love. Beautiful gingham. I love these green. Oops, I may have flipped that around, y'all. I did. Okay, that's what I did. Okay. I didn't use, I had it flipped over the opposite way, so I wanted to make sure that we were using the 20-inch for our tails. And yes, that's the 20-inch. This really goes quite quickly once you get the hang of it. Here's another quickie tip. So if this keeps sliding on you, then what I'll do is take a little bit of painter's tape, just a little tab of it, and you can just tape it down to here. I don't have it on hand right now, but that is one of the little easy tips that I like to use if I tend to move this zip tie around. Now I've made this bow using multiple ribbon patterns. I've made it solid. It comes out just cute as can be either way. And this one happens to have a writing on it. But lucky for us that it goes in this direction here, so it'll look cute once it's full. So as you can see, we've got our first set here, just like this. And if you're having, this is where my little Easy Buddy little tool comes in. It's just a craft stick, large craft stick. I just happen to have a little bow on it. But I slide it down here, and I use that, so if I have to walk away, it'll hold my ribbons from popping out. And it also actually helps to compress them down a little further if I need that. And we're going to go starting with our second set of 20-inch ribbons. We're going to find that center, fold it, and just slide it down. And don't be afraid to experiment. If you just want to use 2 sets, if your ribbon feels super thick and you just want to use 2 sets of your tails, try that, see how it looks. That's how I learned how to do this. I just was experimenting with it. I didn't want to, I couldn't find the Stay Flow at the time to make my actual fabric bow when I was making it. And I said, well, let me try using a ribbon and see how that works. And I've actually even, here's another tip. If you really want it to be relaxed, I've actually removed the wires from here. You can just push this down and remove the wire in for a more relaxed bow. So I've tried that and it comes out fairly well. I prefer using wired because it actually allows you to get that crinkle or crumple effect. And we're ending on our 6th pattern and our 2nd set of tails. Okay, and again, I'm just going to use my little buddy right there to squish it down. And we're working on our 3rd set. I love the look of rag bows. I'm not sure if you do, but I do. I don't use them all the time, but I do like to use them whenever I can. I think they really add something a little different to your bow making. And just gives it a little something extra. A little something different. And they can be farmhouse themed or Christmas themed like this one. You know, the possibilities are just endless with the rag bows. Fall, winter. And it's okay if some of them are just slightly longer. You can just pull and adjust it if you need to. Or trim them off in the end. I think I do need to mention, because this had a written pattern on it, and it said Merry Christmas, I think I did actually cut this one a little longer than 20 inches. So just be mindful of that when you're working with, when you have a word type pattern on your ribbons. If you really want them to like all show the Merry Christmas in this particular pattern. Okay, so now we've got our tails. I'm just going to press that down. Now you don't have to, you can use your hands, but I like to use this because I have a little bit of arthritis, so I like to use that to help me compress those ribbons down. So again, you can use 1 to 2 ribbons, which are cut at the 24th inch. Now we're going to start on the actual bow part of itself, the bow, the mini 2-loop bows. But I think I'm just going to do 1 for this purpose. So I'll put this extra aside, and I can always use that in another project. So let me just move that over as we go. And I may have missed one. Did we miss one? I don't think so. Maybe we did. I hope not. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I gotta count them. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's what we did. Okay, we missed that one. So this is a great way when you accidentally make a mistake. This is a great way to show you how you can fix that error. And what I did was I missed one of my sets. So I'm just going to pull these back up real quick. I'm just going to set it down gently, and we're going to capture that ribbon that we missed. This is, you know, I don't mind when I make a mistake, or other, you know, when I see others make mistakes, because maybe I didn't make a mistake. Sorry, I thought I had 2 of them there. I did. Sorry. Make sure you use the right length, because it actually helps you. And we're going to go back down, and I'm just going to push this open just a little bit, flip them. There we go. So it's easy to fix your mistakes. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so now we're going to start on making our 2-loop bows for the top of this rag bow. And I'm just trying to get that extra out so I don't accidentally grab more than I needed. So to make the bow part, 2-loop bow part, this is a 24-inch length ribbon. Okay, and we're going to find that center once again, and just like with your regular ribbons, you want to gather it up, and we're going to form a cute little loop, and I think it's about 2 inches, and I'm just going to twist it because that has a pattern and I want that pattern to see. So we've got 1 loop started here, then I'm going to create a second loop. It's about 2 inches. Is that right? About 2 inches, and we're going to twist that one. So we're forming a little mini bow right here. If it's just a little bit off, that's fine. You can adjust it here, or you can trim it off at a later point. Now we're going to pinch it in the center. We're going to come and place that one on top. I like to pull my little tails forward just like that and pull my loops back. And again, if you have any trouble with it squinching down, you can press it that way. I just want to show you how the first one looks. And again, we're going to fold this in half, find our center, gather at that center point. We're going to create a 2-inch loop. That could be about a 2.5 inch. Close enough. We're going to twist it to form our first loop. And if it's not quite pinched, you can adjust it in your hand. I go underneath. That's just how I'm creating mine. Get about 2 inches. Just kind of making sure those tails are about the same length. And twisting it so that we've created a cute little mini bow. And I'm going to pinch it in the center, slide it down, pull the tail forward. Don't want to pull too hard because you don't want to lose your loop. And for this one, I'm leaving it in the center. So again, you see, I'm going to have 2 of the loops toward me and 1 of the loops sets in the center. And of course, our next loop will be away from me. I'm going to find that center again, pinch it, and create a 2-inch loop. Twist that one. I'm going to pull that one under, and I'm eyeballing it, but you can do this to make sure you have the exact length. And again, if it's a little off, that's fine, but that's not really too much. And we're just making 2-loop mini bows. Okay, we're going to pull that tail forward again, and then I want to pull that as far forward as I can. And I'm holding this with my finger, but you can use your buddy to help you if you have any issues with your hand. I call it a buddy, I'm sorry. It's my friend, Okay, just want to make sure I got that going. And these may not stay exactly in place until we get the zip tie on, but you get the idea of what we're doing. I have 6 patterned ribbons, so I just need to create 6 2-loop bows. I'm not going to measure again because I can usually tell visually how many I have. Here we go, and we're going to pinch it in the center. It's a little long on there, so we'll pull it. We're going to pinch it in the center, and again, pulling these forward as much as we can. And I'm starting back where I've got this loop coming toward me, and I press down as I go. Okay, then we're going to pinch this one here, and it's again a pattern one, so we do need to make sure that we twist it. I'm going to pull it back here and pinch it. This one I'm going to leave in the center. May have to twist it a little bit harder. That one got off. Let's redo it. And I'm going to come back underneath here. There we go. And I just want to make sure I'm twisting it really, really good and holding onto it as we go. Pulling our tails. This one's going to go in the center. And again, they'll be a little loose. You can see how we're building this up. And now we've got our final ribbon. Where we're going to make our next bow. And we're going to pinch that in the center. And just pull that forward. Oops, got it upside down. I want to make sure it's facing you guys. Oop, I turned it the wrong way, I guess, when I started making it. Here we go. We'll do it this way. This is why I use the Easy Bow Maker, because I have arthritis in my thumb, and y'all, it's just a lifesaver for me to use this, to be able to use a tool like this to help me bows, because there's no way, see how thick that is? There's no way I can hold that in my hand anymore. So I definitely love using this tool. Okay, so we've got our zip tie underneath here, and we've got it turned. I'm going to come as close to the wood as I can, to the wooden dowels. You see here, wooden dowels. With that zip tie, and this is why we need the like an 11-inch. You can compress it some more, but that 11-inch doesn't really works great. Okay, shifting it. Now I'm just going to pull this down, not all the way, but enough that's going to comfortably hold that ribbon. And then we're just going to shift it up. And again, y'all, I have problems with arthritis. I'm going to move my Deluxe Easy Bow Maker away from me, and you see where that indentation is? Right there, and the zip tie's a little bit over. We're just going to adjust it over just slightly so that it actually follows the center of our bow. And again, I'm going to pull this down and just making sure that we're in that center. Okay, now I'm pressing with my thumb to push it down even further. We're still going to just slightly tighten it, not all the way, while we start pulling some of these ribbon tails forward again. I'm just pulling them forward, just like this, so they're all facing this way. I'm going to do that with this same set. It's going to be thick, because as you know, our rag bows are thick. And here's where I'll make any other adjustments to my loops, to my bows, if I need to, if some have come a little slightly off, or if some of the ribbon tails have moved I try to move them all as far forward as I can get them before I fully tighten down. Okay, so here I have it as best as I can get it. Before I tighten that down, I'm going to flip it over. I still have got room here to add my, you can either use a pipe cleaner or you can use tinsel ties. These are great. You know, you can cut them at a little longer lengths. It's a rope actually that you can cut so that it can go further around your base. But today I think we're going to just use our pipe cleaner, and I just want to go to the bottom of that ribbon stack. I'm going to hold this. I'm going to go to the bottom of that ribbon stack, pull this forward, and I want to make sure I'm at the very last ribbon. Okay, I've got that on there, and I'm just going to make sure that my zip tie comes a little bit forward. I don't want it scratching my object, so the head of that zip tie right there, I usually pull it about to right there, and that keeps it from scratching my surface. And y'all, we're going to use, I'm using just sheer strength. You can use a needle nose plier if you want to get some additional grip on that. Now here we're going to kind of break the bow, what we call breaking the bow. We're going to just pull and twist those little mini tails forward, and you can trim these off. If you feel like they're too long for you, you can trim them off. And this is where we're just going to adjust our loops. And then we've got our tails. And again, we're going to pull those forward as much as we can. Sometimes I'll just grip it like this, just like this. Show it to you this way. I'll just grip it like that, and I'll squeeze it at the very top because we want them to all come forward. And it's okay if we squeeze those tails, because that's what the purpose of this is to do, is to give it a crimp look. So now we're going to give it that faux rag bow look. What we're going to do is, I call it the wave, the crimping wave. We're just going to pull these and crimp them as we go. You can kind of wave them up and crimp. Wave them up and crimp. You're basically wrinkling them. If you want to say that's a short term. And we're going to do that with each of our tails. And this can be adjusted even more after you've placed it on your base. And we're just going to go through that whole set. And I'm just doing one side at a time. Again, I'm just reaching underneath there, grabbing all that I can, and crimping it. So you see how it kind of gets see how it's getting that wrinkled, that little wrinkle look, and then you'll just shift them out and work with them. So here's the side that's not, and here's the side that's crimped. And this again can be fluffed as much as you want, and we'll go along and do this side too. And you can do more than one and then just shift them apart. It's just whatever you feel like doing. I'm going to do a little wave and crimp, a little wave. When I say a wave, I'm just sort of like a beach ocean wave. You see, it's like that. I'm just folding it in and out and then crimping at the same time. This is really actually a super simple, and I haven't cut that tie off yet because I'm just using it as a holding mechanism for me. And you can even go from the back and crimp as you go. And again, it's a matter of just pulling these forward and working with it. grabbing a few at a time. Now here's a designer choice. So you can have this, I kind of make my loops a little flatter. You know, most of the time when we're making bows, we want them kind of nice and full loops like that. I make them kind of a little flatter. But if you really, really want to, you can change and actually flatten this all the way. You know, a lot of times you'll see them at that angle, flatten like that. It's a designer's choice. I like mine to have just a little bit of a loop to it, just to give it a little something. And again, it's more what I call a flat loop. And again, we're just crimping them. You can actually set it down and crimp it just like this, because that's what they are. They're actually kind of like wrinkled. And I just love it. I love the look of it. Okay. So next what I'm going to do is we're going to pick an embellishment. So we've got a couple of choices here. I have this here, which is just a cute little pom-pom. I can glue that in the center. See how that looks? I can use actual an ornament, which really comes out adorable. We can glue one of those in there, or even some of these. Yeah, this is a snowflake. If you were wanting to kind of add that into it, you can add all different types of embellishments, as well as a little Santa boot. That's adorable. And these would all be glued in. Even this Christmas tree is kind of cute. But if you want to go with a traditional rag bow look, and you can use different sizes. This is a button. This is just happens to be a smaller one. You can use medium or large, whichever. But when I use one that's actually a button, I like to use my tinsel tie and go through the loop of the button and just place it down here, and then I'll tie it so you can see how it has that traditional look to it. Or if you don't want an embellishment at all, you can certainly take a piece of your ribbon and fold it or cut it and pull it down, just like you do when you're making a regular bow, ribbon bow. But I think what we'll do today is just go along here with our traditional look. And that kind of hides it. Okay? And you can glue it down too if you would prefer. Okay. And then we'll just trim off I don't have my little other type of pliers here, so I'm just going to use my scissors to trim that off, if it'll let me. Oh, y'all, I'm going to have to squish it down a little bit just to get the scissors in there without cutting it. There we go. And you see we flattened it out, but we can go ahead, because it's wired, it's easy to fix this. And this is where you come through and decide that if you want to trim those shorter tails, if you want to trim them up a bit, or if you want to leave them on there. And again, this is my faux ribbon rag bow, and I just simply adore it. I think it's something easy to do, and it really does give it a faux rag bow effect. I'm going to lift you up now so that you can see. And again, it just needs a little more fluffing. And I just wanted to show you how it looks on something when it's finished. So this is actually a door hanger that I have that you can use, of course, use your bows, but you can see that you've got that little rag bow effect, and you can add it to door hangers. I actually got this kind of kinked a little bit. There we go. So again, you just keep working with it and crimping it until you have that perfect faux rag bow look. So that's how you make the one with the ribbons. I'm going to set that one aside, and we're going to pull out our easy bow maker again. And again, y'all, I've got so much glitter. We'll just shift this out of the way. So here we're going to make our fabric bow, and I'm going to tilt you down again. And we're going to use that same technique. Now for this particular one, you can use any sizes. I just happened to use some fat quarters that I had. So, I'm going to do my last one. So they were already pre-cut as far as the length. So they were 18 by 21. So these are 18-inch length. They're all going to be 18 inches. But again, you can go back and use that same length when you're cutting. If you get a yard of fabric, you can cut them at 20 and 24. But for today, I just ended up using the fat quarters I had on hand, which were 18 inches. And I cut them in a mixture of sizes from 1.5 inch to a 2-inch length. I used a mixture. But you can certainly take the time to cut yours all in length. Now I use Stay Flow fabric stiffener. So before I cut my fabrics, I use that Stay Flow to stiffen them, and then I let them dry, and then I cut my strips. And again, I'm just going to shift this forward. I'm using 6 patterns again. Again, you can have them all black, you can have just 3 colors. That's a designer's choice. And again, you're still going to need a zip tie for this, and a pipe cleaner as well, and either a center embellishment of your choice or an extra piece of fabric. I happen to have one that was a little bit thinner, so I kept that to the side. And again, it's 3 sets of each pattern. Actually, it's 4 sets because they're all the same length here, 18 inches. So you'll need 4 sets. You'll need 3 for the tails and 1 set for the bows. Now, if you were cutting it where your tails are just 20 inches, like on the ribbon rag bow, you would do that same amount. You would do 3 sets of 20 inches and 1 to 2 sets of 24-inch in length strips. So I'm just going to start off finding that center, just like that. Now these slide a little bit more, and actually I think I'll put my zip tie down underneath there like we talked about. And I might tilt you up just a little bit so you can get the whole bow maker. And you're going to have strings, that's just the way it works. And if you're not sure and it slides on you, just pull it forward like that and you can tell. Again, I would normally tape this down with some painter's tape just to keep it from moving around on me. Just going to find my center. There we go. That one flipped in the wrong direction. Find my center, go down, find my center. This is a little easier to do because the fabric is a little more relaxed, a little softer, even though it's been stiffened. It's a little easier to find your center. There we go. Find our center. And this pattern doesn't really matter. It kind of, the witch's hats and the spiders and the bats all go in one mixed up direction, so it's not so hard to figure out. And of course you want all your patterns facing upward. And I'm just going to quickly go through this one. And again, we can slightly adjust it as we go. And you can see it's not quite as thick as the other ribbons, but it's still pretty thick. And again, we can easily adjust those if they get just out of whack at any point. We're finding that center again and just pulling it down. Now we're working on, yep, okay, just want to make sure we're going. Now we're going to work on our third set. Finding that center, pushing it down, pattern up. One thing about the faux ribbon rag bow is that you don't have to use stiffener fabric, and you don't have to go through that process, so it's a little quicker. But it does have different, you know, it has just a different look to it. Now if you get too many strings, you can kind of trim those off as you go or pull them. Let's grab this last one here. And again, you can use all of the same pattern. It just depends on what you want, what you're looking for. Okay, I'm going to use my little Easy Bow Buddy. Just press that down if I need to. And now we're going to make our bow loops. So again, we're going to find that center one here, and we're going to pinch it just like we would do regular ribbon. And I'm going to pinch the bottom. Now this, because it's 18 inches long, it has a shorter little tail, but it still has a tail. And I'm twisting it just like I would regular bows, twisting and pinching. And I'll show you here. We're making a little mini bow. We're going to pinch it in the center, just like that. You can see it. And if you know, if it gets a little out of whack, you can just redo it. Sometimes you have to do that. Let's slide it down to see how it looks. Okay. And we're going to pull that tail forward and twist and make sure pull that tail forward. There we go. See that little bow? Okay, I think we might just do one this time, so again, you can do more loops if you want it to get it a little fuller look. I'm going to pinch this together, form a little loop. That loop is just slightly under 2 inches. Thought I'd just measure that for you. And again, this is how I'm doing it. I'm pulling it just like that. That's how I make mine. But you can certainly, if you have trouble, I'll show you another way to make a little loop. And again, we're just going to push that one down, make sure that the tails are pulled forward, press down, use our buddy if we need to. So if you have trouble making your loops like I'm doing in my hand, you can also make them another way, which is you can also do what I call the awareness ribbon method, where you've got them crossed just like this, just making sure, and then you can just pull it up and pinch it just like that. That's another easy tip. See, and then you've got your little loops, pulling the tails forward And then I'm just adjusting these as I go as much as I can. Sometimes I hold that down and pull it. It gives me a little strength. These all can be adjusted once you get that zip tie on. Okay, our next one is going to be our splatter pattern. And I'm just gathering it up and twisting it. Making that cute little 2-loop bow. And again, I'm pulling this one here, this forward, a little tail forward, there. And sometimes they get a little twisted, but you can usually adjust them. There we go. If not, you just take it right off and redo it again. Let me get my little polka dot one. Finding that center, gathering it, making our loop, yep, just like that. And again, you're going to have some strings. We're going to pinch in the middle, put it down, pull that tail forward. Probably going to leave this one in the center. I think I pulled this one back. And I'm going to finish off with my little witch hat. Let's see if I got a thicker. Let's try this one. A little wider one, just so it shows a little bit more of that pattern. A little wider strip. There. And again, this is the 18-inch length. I think if I had to do it over again, I probably would go back and cut them in 20 and 24, just to give it a little more look to it, a little more fullness. Okay, again, we've got a buddy we're going to use to slide that down, and we've got our zip tie here. We're coming up as close to that dowel as we can, and we're going to start pulling that closed. It tends to slide over this way as you pull it closed, so that's why you don't want to do it all the way in one way. We're going to slide our Deluxe Easy Bow Maker out. I just want to gently turn this around so you can see. You see how there's an indentation right here? Can you see that? That's actually the center of your ribbons. So you kind of want to hold it and push down with your thumb while you slide. You kind of wiggle and slide that zip tie over to that center, making sure you're capturing the center of your ribbons so that they don't get lopsided. And then you just pull it a little bit tighter. Yeah, making sure I got it right in that indentation. Now here's where I'm going to add. I'm just going to use just a regular pipe cleaner. I'm just going to slide it underneath that bottom. That's what we're going to use when we're finished with our bow to tighten it up. Sorry y'all, it's catching on that fabric. You can actually use another zip tie if you want, or floral wire, whichever you prefer. And I'm just going to pull that just even a little bit more tighter. And here's where, again, I'm just going to pull that back out of the way. And this is where we're going to do the same thing we did before, where we're going to pull those tails. And you can start from the bottom and work forward or the top. I just tend, don't pull it too hard like I just did. Where you can just get them to kind of go forward. And these you don't have to crump or wrinkle, because it's already done that, for you, that stiffener. And like again, we're pulling all those tails forward. Just make sure I don't capture it's catching on my ring, y'all, sorry. It's not like it's a big diamond, but I love it because this is what my husband picked out for me. 35 years. Okay, so I've mostly got my tails forward, my fabric facing forward, and you see it has that little fluffiness. Now I'm going to tighten. I keep just adjusting that just a little bit more, And now I'm going to work on my loops. Just making sure that I can see. If you leave it a little loose, you can adjust it if it got out of whack for you. And again, we're pulling the shorter tails forward. And sometimes if you want to leave the tails up in here in the center, you can. It just acts like it's another loop. To me, if the tails are a little bit longer, they tend to, there we go. They tend to, sorry, I got turned around on this thing. I think that's the problem. I got turned around on it. I flipped it over. And you know, you're still going to capture some of these strings. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And when you're doing it backwards, it also makes a difference. There we go. Pulling those. There we go. Pulling those tails. Just don't want that to get in my way, y'all. Sorry. Okay. Got it. I'm trying to grab all those pieces at one time and still be equal. There we go. There we go. And again, we've got our little fabric bow. And you can make this a long tail or short tail, whichever you decide to do. And if you need to make some adjustments, you can. Oops, I just pulled that one. There. I don't want to tighten it yet until I for sure have them all in the length that I want and that they're all going in the same direction. And again, we're doing just like we do in a regular normal bow, which is break the bow. Just want to make sure I got them all on the same length. Yeah. So I have them all the same length. I keep turning it, just trying to get some of that string off. And sometimes I give it a shake just to see how it looks, see if I need to move anything or adjust it again. Just making sure I'm in the center for sure. Yep. Ooh. Turning it. Sorry guys. Grab that one a little bit and adjust it. Before I cut them, I always make sure I can adjust them by hand first, just in case. There we go. Just making sure that's flipped over in the right direction. There we go. Pulling it, and it's hard to do that, y'all, when I'm looking at it. I have to, when I'm looking at it from that direction. There we go. I think we're all, and this again is a short tail when you can make these longer and make them whatever way you want. Now I'm going to really tighten that zip tie as tight as I can get it. And then you do your final fluff. So here you've got a cute little rag bow, and you can flatten this out if you want just a little bit by just, you know, it'll naturally flatten out. And if you can't get it to twist back or don't like the way it looks, you can always trim these tails, these shorter little tails, off. I always leave it on until I get it on my base. I leave them as is, and then I'll make the decision to trim them. Okay, so the final step is that you can place any type of embellishment that you want here. Or you can take a thinner piece of fabric, and I say let's go ahead and trim off our let's go ahead and trim off. Normally I'd use my little, but I didn't put them out today. So now I'm just going to take my extra piece of fabric, and if you want to make it thinner, you can fold it over just like so, and go down the center of it, or you can embellish it with like a spider or whatever you have on hand. I'm using this thinner piece of fabric, and I'm just going to tie it off super tight. There we go. And you can either cut those off, or you can use them, let them stay and be used in the design. So here's my little mini fabric rag bow, y'all. And again, you can adjust it in for your design. Okay, I think it's cute, super cute. So here I'm going to take, and let's see, I've got a couple little things to try it on. I have this adorable wicker, grapevine kitty cat design. Let's see if we got it. And we've got our pipe cleaners that we can use to attach it. Just want to make sure all my patterns are going. And we can put it on this. I think it's just cute as can be. And again, you can just adjust it as you get it on there. If they're, you know, flipped around, you can fix them. And that's a cute little fabric y'all, I'm having a hard time. Fabric rag bow. And again, isn't that just cute? And you can of course add as many embellishments as you want behind it. I have a few of these that I'm probably gonna, they look like whiskers to me, and they match part of my fabric ribbon. So I was thinking about kind of adding that up there underneath my fabric bow, doing, you know, just kind of crisscrossing it. I'll show you. So cute. Maybe do it that way, and we'll hold it up. You know, you can add any other embellishments behind it, so it kind of looks like a little bit of whiskers up there, but you get the idea. You can either do that or not. And again, this is a mini, what I call a mini short tail fabric bow. And you can add it in a variety of ways. You can add it to wreaths, deco mesh wreaths, grapevine wreaths, any kind of wreath that you make, any type of base. So I have this cute wooden door hanger, and you can put it up here and make it a bow if you want to, but it's got that cute trick or treat down here. So I kind of would maybe add it to the maybe to the tail a little further down, just to give it a different kind of a look. Add it to the tail over here. Sorry, I don't have her turned right, so you still see the trick or treat behind it. You know, it's a variety of ways. I want to thank you again for joining me today for our rag bow tutorial and using our deluxe easy bow maker. If you want more information, I'll put it down in the description where you can order your very own deluxe easy bow maker and make gorgeous ribbons, all different types, but you can also make our cute rag bows, which is, this is the faux ribbon rag bow, and this is the actual fabric rag bow, using those same techniques in our Deluxe Easy Bow Maker. Thank you so much for joining me. You have a blessed day.